What's up, everyone? It's the Autistic Scyther here, and we just had one of the biggest and craziest announcements ever with the most recent Nintendo Direct. And honestly, I've never been more excited than I have ever since seeing it. And in this case, it kind of proves that many of us video gamers, or many of us gamers, will be eating good in the near future. That being said, kind of makes sense to count down the top 10 things from today's Nintendo Direct that I'm the most excited for. Just this is my opinion. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off first at number 10, we have Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. Now, the only fighting game I've ever played was Super Smash Bros. And in fact, I've never played all that many Mortal Kombat titles. In fact, the only one was either Mortal Kombat 10 or Mortal Kombat 11 for the Nintendo Switch, and that was like a few years back, like way back before the pandemic. But that being said, honestly, it was from what I've played of Mortal Kombat 11, I've been wanting to basically take a look and play some more Mortal Kombat titles in the future. And what better game to be a perfect notice of all this than the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. And keep in mind, Mortal Kombat was one of the first title and most iconic video games of all time, since it introduced the ESRB rating system, which honestly really does say a lot. And considering how I grew up with when the original Mortal Kombat games became popular in the 90s, it kind of makes me want to take a little nostalgic look back to the decade I was born and basically see what all the hubbub was back then. Honestly, it's a nice little look back, and I hope to see it. Moving on next, at number 9, we have Virtual Boy Switch Up for the Switch Online system. Yeah. Honestly, naturally, I'm always so excited whenever a new Nintendo Switch Online game gets announced. I was excited when N64 first appeared on the Switch Online. I was excited with the GBA and the Game Boy and Game Boy Color online system. And I was freaking out when GameCube got announced for the Switch too. However, one of the most unexpected things to end up being released for the Nintendo Switch Online service is the Virtual Boy. Yeah, I didn't think that the Virtual Boy, one of the biggest flops in Nintendo's history, would ever be released. And honestly, I'm actually surprised, to say the least. And kind of makes me wonder what other possible failures or flops might end up basically getting a new life on the Switch Online service. Heck, maybe even the Philips CDI. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us still know about the YouTube poops, so it could be a possibility. Need to see what everyone was laughing at. Moving on next, at number 8, we have Dynasty Warriors Origins. Okay, honestly, first off, I gotta say, if Josh Scorcher ends up watching this, I apologize, but I've never played a Dynasty Warriors title. Never have, and it never really was my bag. However, that being said, due to certain spin-off titles, I actually ended up getting a little interested in the series. And that being said, as soon as Dynasty Warriors Origins was announced, and this Dynasty Warriors Origins trailer was shown, one of the first phrases that came out of my mouth was, Josh Scorcher is really going to love this thing. And honestly, by the looks of it, I think I might end up doing so as well. I mean, heck, maybe it might get me into the Dynasty Warriors series proper. Who can tell? Moving on next, at number 7, we have the Fatal Frame 2 Mark of the Crimson Butterfly remake. Or Fatal Frame 2 The Crimson Butterfly remake. Honestly, this is another game I've never even heard of. In fact, the previous time I heard of Fatal Frame 2, I've heard of this game, was in the Green Scorpions countdown for top 10 ghosts in video games, which was during his first ever Monster Month countdown series. And honestly, I kind of was a little bit interested in it. Of course, that being said, considering this was the original, which honestly I did not have the hardware for, there was no way I kind of resigned myself, there was no way for me to play it. That being said, now that it's basically slated to arrive on, I believe, either the Nintendo Switch 2 or the Nintendo Switch, I'm basically excited I have now more of an effort to possibly pick up a copy of this game when it releases for the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch 2, so I can play this game for myself. And knowing me, I actually have an interesting love with series like this. As I have 4 titles in the Ace Attorney franchise, and out of all of them, there's one more game that really got me into loving this. It's L.A. Noire. Yeah. Honestly, the fact that L.A. Noire introduced me to this sort of thing, yeah, I'm excited to see where I'm going with this. Here's hoping. Moving on next at number 6, we have the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Honestly, when I saw the first movie, I actually saw it twice. Once at my day program, because we had a movie day, and I saw a good amount of it. And the next one, when I got home, I decided to end up watching it on Netflix myself. And oh boy, I was not disappointed. And I enjoyed every reference in that movie, which really says a lot. Even further, as soon as I saw the Yoshi egg, I was like, okay, where are we going with this one? But now, as soon as this trailer dropped with the Nintendo Direct, and considering this is even with Super Mario, the 40th anniversary of the Super Mario franchise, yeah, I was excited to see where we were going. And I was not expecting space. Honestly, the fact that Illumination and Nintendo dropped this on us, it's fair to say I am hyped. I am very hyped here. Yeah. You got my attention, Nintendo. You got my attention. Moving on next at number 5, we have the Dragon Quest VII Remake. Honestly, this year is kind of an interesting year for Dragon Quest. And, well, for me at least. Because I just got a chance to play Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake recently on my Nintendo Switch. So, as soon as the trailer started, and we saw like a small fishing village of sorts, I didn't know what was going on. But as soon as that fanfare started up, I was like, wait a second, is this Dragon Quest? And it's fair to say I was freaking out. Because I didn't know what Dragon Quest game was gonna be remade. And part of me was thinking it was either gonna be 4 or 6 that were going to get the remake next. But as soon as I saw those characters, my mind was blown. Because out of all the games I never expected to get remade, I never expected Dragon Quest VII. And honestly, I am hyped. I am just hyped. I mean, there are a few Dragon Quest games I gotta play myself, but in fairness, 7's gonna be one I'm going to enjoy playing a lot. That's all I'm gonna say. Moving on next at number 4, we have, surprisingly enough, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Honestly, yeah. You gotta admit, when it was first announced, I was basically excited to see where we were going with this game. And considering how it took me this long to get Breath of the Wild, and the fact that I have Tears of the Kingdom and like Echoes of Wisdom to take on, yeah, I was basically floored. And honestly, you gotta admit, if you remember from my Dynasty Warriors entries, I said there were certain spin-offs that basically got me interested in Hyrule Warriors, in the Warriors franchise as a whole. It was Hyrule Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors. Yeah. So, yay for me. And honestly, while I know I'm gonna have to take a play through the first 2 Hyrule Warriors titles, I'm gonna be excited for this one. That's all I gotta say. Alright, part 2 will be coming soon.